All right, so if you're just joining us, we are here because Cindy Bogue asked me to do a training for her team, and she was kind enough to let me invite my downline as well. So we're all here, and we're here today to talk about sponsoring and selling both. I'm wearing a crazy wig right now, hot pink, because I want to look like a rock star from the 80s.
You know that's your regular hairdo.
Oh, right, for sure, for sure. And I'm calling myself Rockstar Rita, and sounds like some of you know the answer. What does RITA stand for? It's the acronym R.I.T.A, and it looks like in the comments, a bunch of you know that RITA is the answer because recruiting is the answer for sure. Okay, now that we did that, I'm taking it off because it's hot. So before we start, I do want to talk, looks like everybody's here, I think. Cindy, do you have anybody else that you're like, no, wanted to be on here, or are we good to go?
Yeah, I had 18 respond. They were going.
Yes, I get it.
I'm missing a lot.
You want me to get started? You want me to give it another minute?
Go ahead and get started.
Okay,
yes.
Let's get started. So first off, who am I? And why would you listen to me? So I'm going to give you some numbers and I'm going to tell you some things. And I always want you to know, I'm not saying this to impress you. I love this saying. I'm not saying it to impress you. I'm saying it to press upon you what you can do with your business, right? And I really hope after you hear everything I have to say today, you will see that teaching and coaching is my passion. And I'm really not, like I said, trying to impress you. But I am wanting you to think, again, who is this girl? Why did Cindy invite me? Why would I want to listen to her? Why does she have all of these trainings? Why does 31 ask her to train, right? So I do want to show you like there's a reason. So I am a current PAC member. I did make it this year onto PAC, which is top 6, if you're not aware of, in the company. And I made it not just in one category, but 2. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about is sales and recruiting. And I made it with both of those. You guys, I sold $190,000 in my own personal sales last year. And prior to that, I had sold usually 67,000, 65,000, which is still great, still amazing, right? But I tripled almost what I normally do, okay? And recruiting has always been my thing. That's kind of always been Cindy and I's thing. We've actually served on leadership council together for that. So I've always been pretty good at that. And I'm here to tell you today how that's kind of the secret weapon. We'll get there in a little bit, but that's actually how I'm successful in all the things. So a little bit of my story besides 31, I have been married for 22 years to my high school sweetheart, been together for 28. Aww, right? We have 2 adult children. That just does not come off my tongue well yet. They're 18 and 20, and that just happened this summer. So that's a tough one. They're still home. They're kind of like in between. One of them went to college and she's back in a gap year. Another one's taken a college. So I'm a little spoiled there that I'm watching all my friends send all their kids off to college, and we're not doing that this season. Lived in the same area most of my life. It's a really rural community. And I only add that because, you know, some might assume like, oh, she lives in like a metropolis area, right? With like 50,000 people in her town. No, there's 2,000 people in my town. I believe there's around 20-some thousand in my entire county, which is kind of where my close circle would be. Born and raised here, graduated here. My husband graduated here. My kids graduated here. All right. So first off, when we're talking sponsoring, we're talking recruiting, we're talking anything in your business, the number one thing that is so important is honestly attitude. And I know you hear that from a lot of speakers, and you probably hear that from Cindy, and you've probably heard that from Cindy Monroe, and you've heard that from all the people, right? But it's really true. And I'm not here to sell you today, not that I'm selling you anything, but I'm not here to sell you today on the idea of sunshines and rainbows all the time, right? Like, it's not that. Cindy and I will tell you, I've been doing this for almost 9 years. Cindy, how long have you been doing it? 7? Yeah.
7, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was something like that. There are peaks and valleys, you guys. There are ups and downs, and I just hit a low. Okay, so coming off of that $190,000 year, okay, do the math. That's an average of $15,000 a month. You guys, I'm sitting at 2,000 right now. Okay, so it happens. Okay, I kind of chose that we're not here to discuss that, but I'm just here to show you there are ups and downs in the business. Okay. It happens all the time. Now I got 15 parties booked for next month and 15 parties booked for October. So there's the peak, right? I'm in the valley. There's the peak. Christmas is coming, right? It's constant. So I'm not here to tell you that it's always easy. I'm not here to tell you it's always sunshines and rainbows, but it's still 100% is your attitude and what you do with that. And when things get really bad and the valley's really low and something quite frankly pisses you off, right? Because that happens too, right? There's going to be things that this company does or that a hostess does or someone does to you, right? And you feel literally like they're doing it to you. My good mentor tells me I get 5 minutes. I get 5 minutes to be pissed off about it. And then what are you going to do about it? Right? You've got to move on. And my girls know I say that all the time, right? So it doesn't mean things are always sunshine and rosy, but it means I pivot a lot. And when things are not where I want them to be, I get my pen and paper out and I just brain dump all the things that tick me off. And then I go on the other side and go, what am I going to do to fix it? Right? And I brain dump all the ideas. So I just can't say enough that it really is. This business can be fun. This business can be, again, I hate to use the word easy or simple, but it can be if you get yourself there, right? If you get systems and you get things in place, and if you don't give up. One of my favorite sayings, and I'll say this is what I am right now. I love the saying that an NED is a consultant that never gave up. I am an ED and a PAC member with those stats of 190,000. There are NEDs who don't have those stats, right, Cindy?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I am an ED with those stats because I haven't given up. I've been doing this for 9 years in November, and I just keep going. I just keep trying. And there's lots of things that don't work. And there's lots of things that worked in one season and they didn't work in another season. All right, so attitude is everything. All right. I get asked all the time though, and I want to hear in the comments what you guys think maybe this answer would be. Above and beyond attitude and, having a positive attitude. If there were one thing that I can tell a newer consultant or even a seasoned consultant who's not a leader, and there's a reason that matters for this answer. So it's a little bit of a hint there. Okay. So if you've not yet been in leadership and you've been in this business, let's say for a year or more, or you're a brand new consultant, either one, okay? There's number one tip I have that I get asked all the time, like, what's the secret, right? I wish I knew too. Like, I don't have the actual secret weapon, but I have a pretty good idea of something that's going to help you a ton. And that's what I'm here to tell you. And so in the comments, okay, what do you think that would be? What would just be the number one thing in your business that you think you have to do above and beyond attitude? And there's really no right or wrong answer. Okay. This is just me, how I'm leading this training today and kind of what I'm saying. Consistency is very good. Very, very important. And Adelina asked NED or ED. Okay, so an NED, because I know you're brand new, is the top of our food chain. That's the top level, okay? And the saying goes, an NED is a consultant who never gave up. I am an ED at this point. So I'm 2 levels down from the NED, working my way up there. Okay, consistency is a really, really, really good answer. That's not what I'm looking for, but that is literally in my notes because that goes with attitude, you guys. That is a definite huge, huge thing. Is that even in these months, for instance, right now, okay, when things weren't going well and I'm sitting at 2000, I still knew what I had to do. I had to go back and pull my big girl panties up and do what I was doing back in May and June and July and get a mega party going and book all the parties and get those connected contacts and start getting my ask on, right? Okay, so here's my super secret. That's super scary to majority of people. If you're not a leader, this is the hint. This is what's scary. It's recruiting. Recruiting is the answer, literally. And you guys, it's not just because you're sponsoring. We're going to get there in a minute. It's the number one way I book parties because I asked her first about if she's ever thought about joining me. It's the first thing I do, and it gets the conversation going, even if it's no way, Jose, right? Like you know all the excuses, you know all the things you're going to hear from her, but she answered you. Okay, because she too thinks it's scary. You think it's scary to ask her. She thinks it's scary to do it, but she's going to be quick to say, oh, yeah, that's not for me. I'm not salesy. I'm not blah, blah, blah. I'm not blah, blah, blah. I'm not blah, blah, blah. Right. And so you have that little conversation and maybe you realize it's still not for her. All right. We're going to get to sponsoring here in a minute. But she's thought about 31. She's thought about how much she likes it. You've dropped the seed. And I'm telling you, it's how you book the parties. It is literally how I have 14 parties right now in September and 14 parties in October, because I have been asking those 4 questions that you guys see floating around. Does everybody know what the 4 questions are? Yeah, it's like sliding down the mountain. I do 5, by the way. I add the club in there. We'll talk about that in a minute too. Yes, the 4 questions is a game changing for you. I'm so glad to hear that. I know my team will say the same way. Both Tammys that are on here are working towards leadership, and they have amazing stats with doing the 4 questions and remembering that. And so it's the secret weapon, you guys. Now, talking about sponsorship, I mean, you've heard most of these things. Again, it's not rocket science. It's about her. It's not about you. And it truly is. Okay. For those of you that are new, because I do know I have a couple of newbies on here, and some of you that just haven't heard me, or maybe you haven't heard Cindy or anyone talk from 31. The biggest mindset that you need for recruiting is to take yourself out of the equation. And I'm here, this will come across maybe kind of witchy, add a B in there if you want to some of you, but you're straight up being selfish by not asking her. Straight up being selfish. Because what if her story is literally she can't keep those lights on, right? What if her story is literally little Susie has no new school clothes and she just came home bawling today because her tennis shoes have holes in them and everybody's making fun of her, right? What if little Susie is also just equally as upset? She wants to take dance class so bad. Her friends are taking dance and she can't take dance, right? You don't know her story. And you are straight up, I don't care how mean or witchy you think I sound, you're seriously selfish by not asking and giving her the opportunity to say no. Because you're so worried about your feelings if she tells you no. You're so hung up on that you are depriving her of something that someone else is probably going to ask her. And it might not be 31. It might be paparazzi, it might be Pampered Chef, it might be whatever, right? But eventually someone's going to ask her and she's going to join that company if that's what she needed, was some side gig or some sisterhood or some extra money or whatever it was, right? And you missed the opportunity because you're so worried about hearing that doggone word no. Okay? You have to get past the no. And again, I know the analogies, there's a million of them, right? The easiest one is the dessert. Okay. When your waitress asks you or your waiter asks you for dessert and you tell them no, she does not go back to the kitchen and cry about it, right? She gets your bill and she brings it to you and she hopes you still tip well. It's that simple, you guys. It's the same thing. When you can set aside that she's not telling you, no, I think you're stupid. I think you're ugly. Don't ever talk to me again. We're not friends. Right? When you can get that out of your brain, it makes it that much easier. But here's the other thing with that word no, you guys. Women can also only say no so many times for the most part. It's a proven fact. That's what that whole sliding down the mountain 4 questions thing is. I'm a huge one for sliding down the mountain. If you've not seen my sliding down the mountain, write yourself a note right now. You want to see the video afterwards. You guys can all message me, whatever you need. Sliding down the mountain is the 4 questions in a nutshell. All right. And it just is more analogies and more things. I think I did it when Cindy and I were on a leadership council. I'm literally like in Laguna Beach, I think, standing on the, you see the cliff. I'm literally like, oh, look, there's a cliff. I'm going to make this video. I'm so cheesy like that, as you could see with the pink wig, right? So it really is the secret weapon, because as you start that conversation at the top with the hardest thing for you and even her, all right, it just gets easier as you slide down. Now I'm going to add a 5th question in there. So it sounds like everybody knows those 4 questions. It goes for the most part from recruiting to asking them for a party, to being in or getting an order, and whether that's in the current party because they have a hostess going on right now, or you're doing it from your customer group. And like right now I'm setting a goal to message everyone in my customer group by the end of August. And so they all know it. Like I've warned them in the customer group, I'm doing all kinds of giveaways and fun things. So for them, it's just a link, right? It's not my part. It's my party link. It's called Halloween because I'm pushing Halloween. Being in the VIP group, which for them, I'm like, all right, bonus, you're already in there, right? Like I send them that question still, and I just celebrate them that they're in there. And then it's the club. Now, there's a lot of different places that you can put the club, and the club is like the Hostess of the Month Club, okay? If you're not familiar with that, again, write it down. I've got a huge training on that. If you're not part of Danielle's training playground, I have huge trainings on that. You will always hear me call it the club, okay? I love it to be elusive. 9 times out of 10, she thinks, oh yeah, I'm in your VIP customer group. And I'm like, oh yeah, but I have another club that's even cooler than that, right? I literally treat it like it's the cool kids club because it is. And I'm constantly bragging about it in my customer group. I know Shannon was on here. I think she still is. Yeah, she's waving over there in the truck, right? We are very big on like right now telling my customer group, oh, they all got to see the catalog already. They're getting sneak peeks. They've seen Christmas already even, right? Like I show them all the things, I do all the things and I brag about it. So here's the thing that's crazy, you guys. This is what happens all the time. She says no to joining. She says no to a party. She says maybe to a link. That one's a little bit hit and miss. Yes or no to a link, but she doesn't always order, right? She says yes to the customer group, or she's already in there right now because that's what I'm working on. She almost always, like my take rate, I swear, like hardly anyone tells me no on more info for that club. Okay. That doesn't mean everyone takes the club, but my info, like she just wants to know more, which is what we want. That's why it's elusive. That's why you use just that club. Now for me, I have a video. Again, you do my Host of the Month Club training, you will see it's in there. It's another thing I preach that is like my go-to because she needs to see me. She needs to hear my words. She needs to know all the perks. She does not need to see a graphic where a confused mind shuts down that tells her 6 hostesses and 35 and blah, 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 and all the things that she has to do. And she goes, yeah, I don't even know what any of that means. So no, right? Okay. She needs your words telling you what are you offering her in her club. Okay. What is it that's special about it? Are you, does she get extra half offs if you have them? Does she get extra exclusives? Do you give her a prize? Does she get first dibs on your stash sale? There's all kinds of things that you can do that don't break the bank, you guys, okay, for the club. So I wanted to add that in there because it's a really, really important part of the whole sliding. And then I have 2 bonuses that I'm going to do. And I haven't done these yet because you guys are catching me in the middle of a process right now. But I always, when I've done this before, do bonus questions. Okay. And so I send her something. I thank her for doing the 5 questions. If you guys do 4 questions, whatever you decide to do, right? I thank her. And then I wait a day or a little bit or whatever, depending on how the conversation's going and my timing. And I say, can I send you another question? And you get double entries. Okay. And I play with that one, you guys. For me, fundraisers is huge because I really love booking fundraisers. So if she said no to all of those things at this point too, I'm always looking for fundraisers. That is the number one reason that I've been able to always get out of so this is a question I get asked a lot too. How do you get so many contacts? Because to get that 190,000, you guys, I'm not partying with the same people over and over again, right? That's not how it works. I have something of like 6,000 contacts in my back office, you guys. I have like, when I send an email, it goes to like 5,000. And when I send a project broadcast texting, it goes to like 4,000. Fundraisers is the number one way in 9 years that I have built that number of contacts. I had set a goal when I first started my business to try to do at least 1 fundraiser a month. I've actually been slacking this last year. But for the first 8 years, I was very, very consistent with that. It's such a win-win. Again, you want training. I'm not here to give you all the details. I've got training on all of that too. In a nutshell, I'll just tell you, I basically give most of my commissions, if not all, and I get the hostess benefits. So it's such a win-win-win all around, right? I've given back almost $22,000. Dogs are coming in at this point in my business in that almost 9 years. And if you know that I've given back $22,000 and you do the math, I've gotten all the free product I've ever wanted in my business. I've never bought a thing of 31. So if you love the product and you want free things and you love giving back and you want to get outside of your circle, that's why I say it's a win, win, win. Fundraisers are key. And I guarantee if you ask for fundraisers or a referral, again, you're at least getting her thinking, right? And everybody always asks me, how do people know you do fundraisers? Because I tell them all the time. It's an important part of my party. It's an important part of my message. The other extra one that when I say I play around sometimes with the order, with adding the fundraiser one in there, just depending on where these contacts are coming from, is my survey. And I know that seems a little bit repetitive because you just asked them all of those questions. But again, I'm always all about contacting all of her information. And who knows, her mind might change in that 5 minutes by the time she takes that survey, because we do that as women. We change our minds a lot. And if nothing else, I'm getting all of her information. So if I don't already have her email and her phone number and all those things, there you go. You're going to have them for your back office. So if you're not doing a survey, that's another super important one. All right. What time are we at? I want to stop right there and ask, where's the time? Here we go, my watch. Oh, good, we're doing great. I want to stop right there and see if there's any questions on anything that I've been blabbing about so far.
I
No?
have a quick
Yes.
question about your fundraisers.
Yes.
So I posted in the chat that like I started planning one for every month. I'm currently doing the back to school survival kit, like I feel like everybody's doing right now.
Right.
Do you always do like a kit kind of a thing, or do you just say I'm raising this money and this money's just going there?
So we do both. So the fundraisers that I'm talking about that really get what I'm talking about, that get you outside of your circle and get all those contacts, are dance clubs, mission trips, cancer walks, sports teams, like anybody who's needing your actual funds, right? And that's the whole flipping of the commissions. You decide what you want to do. I don't want you going broke. I want you to make some money, especially if you've got catalogs going out and that sort of thing. And when you're a leader, you've got more to play around with because you get an extra bonus and all that good stuff, right? But you're giving, I do the entire catalog, and you're giving back, like I said, the commissions, but they know I'm the hostess. So instead of you getting the free things and the discounted things, right, we're going to give back to this group. And I got great training on that. However, that's not to say that what you're doing is amazing. And we do that as a team all the time too. We've done the foster bags and the senior care little caddies at Christmas time. And, you know, like you said, the sponsored the school ones and the nurse ones and all of those. Those are great. Those just aren't exactly what I'm talking about. So that is a great one for your PB, because if you do right, you're not giving away the PB. Sometimes you are to stuff them. It depends on what you charge and all of that good stuff. But that one isn't necessarily getting you out of your circle. It's just another great goodwill, though, that people see like you're real, you know, you want to give back, you're part of your community, you're doing something right. And that's always important as a business person and just a human being in general, right? It's just a feel good. It's another great part of our business that we love. And 31 encourages it too. You know, I don't know that all companies encourage that give back so much like we do as well. So great question though. Any other questions? Okay, we will move on. So sliding down the mountain is all part of the 5 questions. Looking at my notes here. We talked about that. Okay. Fun. The last thing that I have to leave you with is fun. And some of you might be right now thinking like, oh, we're getting feedback from somebody. Can someone mute? It might be, it's either I got iPad 2. Oh, it might have been Annalena. Okay, so, oh, okay, that's all right. Some of you might be thinking, so fun, right? It's a personality trait. Some of you might be thinking it's just not me. I'm not as big and loud and bubbly and talk as much as this crazy lady. I don't wear pink wigs. I could never do any of that, right? Okay. First of all, there's 2 parts to that I think. You don't need to be me. You need to be you at the end of the day. Along with fun has to be authentic. You have to be you, okay? At the same time, you get to be whatever you want to be. So just because up until this point in your life, you're not known as the crazy lady in the pink wig or that wears a sloth costume or a peach costume, Yeah, that's me. Right? It doesn't mean that you can't do something, and it doesn't have to be that elaborate. It can be balloons. It can be tiny little the headband type ones that you get at the dollar store that have boingies. It could be a stuffed animal that's your BFF that hangs out with you when you're live. The ideas are endless, right? But it has to be you, and it has to be something that you like. So when you're thinking about things like that, and you're thinking about wanting to bring more fun to your customer page, more fun to your parties, so that people see the real you, again, get a piece of paper out and brain dump. What do I love? What did I love as a kid? What do I love to do with my kids? What do I love to do with my grandkids? What do I wish I was still doing? Okay, what comes up on those things? What are your favorite colors? What are your favorite foods? What are your favorite hobbies? And I guarantee something is going to jump out at you that you're like, oh, I used to stinking love unicorns when I was a kid. I'm just gonna like be a unicorn girl. I'm gonna have unicorns in my display in the background, right? I see some of you smiling because you were unicorn kids, right? Weren't we all? But I guarantee there's something like that that just lights you up, right? What makes you smile? Because that's what's going to make it fun is when you see and I'm not in one right now, right? This is not a fun background. This is me in my living room, but I started with a pink wig, so give me a little bit of credit, right? But that's the point. For me, I have always been the costume girl. I'm a dance teacher. I'm a retired dance teacher that owned 2 dance studios for 14 years. So I've been dressing up my entire life and acting like a crazy person, okay? It's totally me, so it works. It doesn't have to be that extreme. The other thing that I always like to add, and I'll be super transparent, 31 has not set us up for success this season, but hopefully by Christmas there'll be something sort of ish, is we normally have a critter. And so I go all out with our critters. Like I just said, sloths, peaches, whatever that is, right? I am constantly looking for some little $5 sloth at the store, right? And I'm bringing it home, and I'm loving on it in my video. And it's a giveaway eventually, alongside of a $5 gift certificate or the little carry-all caddy or whatever, right? It lives with me for a while, and I love on it, and it does all the things. So that's another idea. I'm really stretching if anybody has ideas, because right now with this catalog, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to be with all these costumes. Yeah, see, look at the sloths. Yes, right? And so you would not believe the amount of messages I get when people see sloth things. They know because they've been watching, because I'm constantly talking about sloths for the past 6 months. Anytime something comes up in their feed on sloths, they are screenshotting it and messaging me or forwarding it to me or whatever. They're like, oh my God, I thought of you. And I'm like, yeah, I like sloths, but not that much. but they think that, right? And that's perfect. That's what I want them to think. And I'm pushing it hard right now because they're leaving us. So my sloths are literally, if I could turn this and show you, I have 5 giant sloths right now on my couch, because when I've been going live, they're behind me. So think about those kinds of things when it comes to fun. Think about games, think about bingo, think about your giveaways. Like I saw some heads nodding when I said I give away the $5 sloth and a $5 gift certificate, right? Like that's not the bank. That's not a ton. They just did something huge for me, right? To give that away, I just did something really big in my customer group too, and made them all chatter and comment on my live video or whatever it was, so that now everybody sees my customer group, right? So it was worth my $10 or whatever that was. It's not even $10 because you made commission on that $5 gift certificate. So fun, fun, fun. And if you aren't having fun, they aren't having fun. Okay. And I talk to so many of you that this isn't fun. Like that's when you get in the valley. You're like, this isn't fun. I don't like this right now. It's not fun. That's when you've got a brain dump. That's when you've got to get that 5 minutes that you're mad, but all right, refocus, regroup. What am I going to do that's fun? All right. Makes sense. I'm going to check my notes one more time, but I think we are just about ready to wrap up. Talked about attitude, talked about pivoting, repetition, consistency. You guys brought that one up, which was great. Not giving up, NED. Asking to recruit, you guys, not making it selfish, making it about her. And not only does she join us often or start talking about us, but she gives more parties. One of the things I didn't say, because I know some of you are new also, the if I would you statement Jonae Greenfield did on a video a while ago has been game changer for me. Because I will, full disclosure, tell you I'm a word vomit girl. Look at how much I talk. So I do the same thing when I'm messaging. And so simplifying your words, the if I would you statement. So an example for those of you that might not know, right now, it's literally could be, if I told you that 31 has an amazing 31% off your kit offer right now, would you be interested in hearing more about how you also could make 25% commissions on your order? That was a little lengthy, but you get what I'm saying, right? It's an if I would you. So whether you're talking about recruiting or you're talking about getting a party or a sale or whatever that is, that's it. That's all you get is an if I would you. And that has been working magic in my business alongside of those 4 questions. So like a combo of those, that's kind of where I start. Like for instance, right now in my customer group, that's been part of what I was asking them if I could do those 5 questions. Like if I told you there was giveaways happening in my customer group, and one of the first ways you could win was by answering 5 questions from me, would you want to play along? Like it's something like that. Don't quote me on the words, but it's something like that, right? So that's been a huge one. I did miss from my notes. Sliding, told you about the 2 bonuses of the 5 questions, how I added the club, and then the extra 2 bonuses, and fun. All right, what do we got? Yes.
Did you do you use the standard question verbiage, or did you change it for you?
I changed it for me, and I actually have a friend who made graphics. I don't know that graphics are, I know Julie Aldridge talks about graphics. I know the last Accelerate group, they really were using graphics. I don't know that they're important, but they're working for me right now, so I'm using them. Again, they have a sloth on them. My girlfriend made them, and they have sloths on them. And the whole question is basically right in the graphic. I don't know the exact ones, to be honest, that were originally given to us by
In the Seize the Day.
Seize the Day, yes. And oh my gosh, why am I forgetting who did it? Wasn't Tiffany, Andrea Carver. She's not even the one who originated it. I mean, she's the one actually that taught us about it. And I later saw like another girl who really actually came up with it. I think anything like that, when you can make it your own words, is really helpful. As long as you're not missing any of the key things, right? And you're just asking, has she ever thought about doing what you do, right? Like keep it simple is really a huge part of that. Okay.
That's kind of what I
do.
Because mine is, sorry, Cindy. That's kind of what I do, because I actually just kind of tailor it to that person. So
I think too, I mean, if I were really being good at it right now, one of the things I love to do when I'm doing graphics is me actually on them as well. So it actually would be super fun if I'm doing like this kind of stuff and there's a little bubble of those things, right? Like that's always fun too. The more that they see you and know you and learn about you and see your fun behavior, like we talked about, and just your smiling face, right? That's who they're trying. That's the end of the day, you want them to buy from you. It's not just about buying 31. You want them to buy from you and forever and ever and ever and ever, right? So the more that they remember who you are, and especially in this Facebook world, you guys, in home parties, when I sat with them on the couch, I would then go to the grocery store and be like, hey, I know you, hi. That doesn't work that way now, right? So I want them to at least know who I am. I'll be super honest. It's terrifying sometimes going to the grocery store now because I'm like, I don't really know you because your profile picture is a cat. So it's a totally different ballgame, right? But at least, at the very least, you do want them to know you. Like it's hard already that we don't get to know them. So don't be that girl, right? Don't be the girl selling 31 to them and you're a cat, right? Or you're like, God bless America or whatever. Like, I'm so glad you're passionate about those things, but you need to be showing who you are all the time, because we on Facebook, in this Facebook world, I mean, I am partying constantly with people that I do not know, and they live in Iowa and I live in Michigan, and you know, whatever. So keep that in mind too. Okay, I know Cindy had some questions, and I know there's some stuff happening in the comments too.
My first question was with the R.I.T.A thing. So whenever you said when you asked them about sponsoring or joining your team, that you book parties from that, Is it because they say no to joining your team, but then they'll say, yes, I'll do a party?
Generally speaking. I mean, I have great stats right now too. I mean, considering it's a huge numbers game, like I'm having discussions right now with, I think like 7 or 8 people right now about joining my team. Now, when you compare that to the 14 parties that I booked for September and the 14 parties I booked for October and the 8 parties I booked for August, that's lower. But that's what it's supposed to be. I mean, that is when I'm not going to sit here and give you all the numbers, right? But there's going to be less people, obviously, that join your team versus partying. So with those numbers, I mean, I'm at a big number right now, you guys. So like connected contacts, I'm over 100 that I've been doing this week. Like I've been pushing hard, really texting and emailing and messaging. Yeah. So that's where those giant numbers come from, right? Like it's not just that I messaged 28 people and they all said yes. I've gotten plenty of no's. But yes, Cindy, that's a very good question and a very good point that yes, I mean, majority of your people are not going to say that they want to learn more information or want anything about it, right? And so then when you talk about a party, they go, right, well, I just told her no. I guess I could do that. I guess I could do that next month or whatever, right? And even then I'm like, well, what's holding you back from right now? I mean, that's how I got 8 parties that I was like, what do you got going next week, right? Like super fun, it's fast, it's easy. And I got 8 to say yes. So it happens if you set your schedule. That's another thing. Like set your schedule. Don't take her. She's going to tell you, like, you're going to hear, I absolutely can't do right now. Like my kids just started school and little Tommy's in soccer and I just started a new job, right? Like, that's not who I'm asking. I'm not asking her to party next week, right? I'm asking the girl who said, I mean, I guess I could party in the next month or so. And I say, well, here's my schedule. What do you have next week? And she says, oh, okay. Or she gives you a reason, just like everything else, right? I know that was a little off topic, but I just kind of wanted to share with you like a thought process. I mean, I have set dates, and if she says no to that, then I'm like, all right, here's my 2 dates in September. I only party twice, you guys. Mega parties. I can't tell you enough. I party twice a month, 3 times maybe when we get into this holiday season because it's hard not to, but for the most part, twice a month. Another question, Cindy?
Yes. Well, statement, I guess. So I had a customer today. She's a teacher friend, and she ordered from a mutual friend's party. And so I dropped off her order on Friday, and I gave her the fall catalog. And she messaged me today, and she asked me to do a catalog party for her, which that, as you know, that rarely ever happens where they message you to do the party. So I was like, oh, wow, this is fun. This is cool. So I was all excited and everything. So I dropped her off a bunch of catalogs today, and she loves the fall catalog. So I had this idea pop into my head, and I thought, so she asked me to do the party. So I was thinking I could post in Alexa, thankfully. She's a little bit of a graphics girl, and she made me a graphic that says, ask me before I ask you. So I'm going to post that in my VIP group, and on the graphic it says something about party, and then you could get up to $31 extra hostess credits, and that would be like, in my thinking, that would be like an $800 party and hopefully $1,000 party, and I would give away $31 extra in credit. But the thing is, ask me before I ask you. So I'm hoping that when I post this, I'm going to get a bunch of either comments or messages saying, I'll do a party for you. And I'm going to post a couple of like teaser graphics with it, like with the products and stuff to get interest. So
yeah, it's like those
sometimes
buttons.
I have good ideas.
Yeah, it's like those buttons that you would see sometimes, like ask me about the free whatever, right? Like some people have had to wear that at their job before. That's funny because I did something similar with these 5 questions. So when I told them that I'm messaging everyone in the group, in my VIP customer group, I said, if you comment below first, I'll message you first and you get 5 times the entries. And so there were a bunch of people who commented on that right away and were like, oh, so it helped. I didn't get a ton, but I got some, right? And it's just an extra giveaway I got.
Yeah.
Okay. So a bunch of the comments are, the Halloween capsule. I have not even had time to do the Halloween capsule yet, but yes. And I can't lie, I'm like scared because it's going to leave. And I'm like, oh my God. So when I do it, I want to be ready, and I need to go live, and I need to be like, look, we need to get your orders in now for Halloween. And if we want to book, like, I think I'm going to use some of it as a booking incentive too. So like, if there's something that you see right now, I'll make you a deal. It might be free or reduced if you book a party with me, type of thing. And so I'll order like a giant bulk order for my hostesses type of thing, and then get them their little snacker or whatever it is that they're wanting, right, as a little gift. And, you know, of course, it'll have to be a qualifying party and yada, yada. I'll come up with some details. But yes, I've been a witch for sure. I have Mickey Mouse ears, giant witch. I'm a huge Disney fan too. So I have Disney ears for every single holiday. So if all else fails, those get pulled out often.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I'm looking still through the comments. Yes, that was it in the comments.
I like what Alexa said with the coffee icon.
Oh, I missed that. What is it?
I do coffee gift cards in the fall, like September, October, November.
Oh, yes. Okay.
But that's a good idea with the icon thing, though.
So it's almost like the first thing that pops into my mind of like, okay, what are you going to dress up as? I need to be someone from Friends or something like that, like the coffee shop. But I mean, I need to be like Ross or something, right? Like I need to like try to be like something really goofy, right? Like not Jennifer Aniston, like something really,
Joey.
Yeah, like Joey or something. Yeah. Oh, you might be onto something. But no, you're absolutely right. And you don't always have to dress up. That's where my mind goes. But yes, playing off the coffee mugs is huge. You're exactly right. So when back to like my sloths and my peaches, I'm talking about those all the time. And you better believe all of my Hostess packets have a dollar store treat in them that's a peach gummy or a little sloth stuffed animal or something, you know, something flat, something simple. All my club boxes are filled with sloths and peaches. So there's always that common theme, and that's exactly it with the coffee mug, like you said, for the Christmas. That's perfect. We need to be setting them up for that now, because that's exactly why they need to be doing the club right now too, is for their Christmas shopping. You need to have those shorter clubs. Like I do clubs that are 3 months for $65 a piece. People join them. It sounds like a lot of money, and they do it. Because you spend $50 and you get half off, and they're buying Christmas presents and they have to shop 3 times. I do some that are 4 months for $50. I do the 6 for $35. I offer them every other month. I have 4 different styles of clubs that I'm always doing. And I generally try to have 7 to 8 clubs going at one time. And it sounds like it's crazy. And some people that sounds overwhelming. It's not. It's all in a little notebook. Who's in what club? There's a giant group. They're all in, and I show them all the things. And I have 8 guaranteed parties always. So that's all in training too. Yeah.
Do you have all that information in your training on the clubs?
Absolutely. Yeah. The club training is pretty thorough, but if you get through it and you got any questions, just ask. Yep. For sure. All right. There's no other questions. I think we'll wrap up. I hope it helped. I'm not, another thing I always say is like, I'm not the one that comes up with the ideas. I'm like the world's best student is what I always say. So back to that consistency and not giving up. Everything I've told you, you've either heard already or someone from 31 has already taught us. I didn't come up with hardly any of these things. I add to it. And sometimes like I make it 5 questions, right? Like I get creative and I think outside the box to add things myself. But I literally am the world's best student. I put things into practice. I don't just hear them and then push the notebook aside. So I'll leave you with that. In the comments before we leave, what is one thing? Here's your go-to. What is one thing that you're going to do after learning something from today? Just one. I hope it's more than that, but just one that is like a non-negotiable, that was your aha, or you're just like, this is what I'm going to do, or I'm going to go do her training on this, or whatever it is, because that's the important part. It's just like when you get done with impact or anything like that. It's so easy to learn all of those things, and a month later, you're not doing any of it, right? So that's where the consistency comes in. That's where the never gave up came in, is that I'm always doing things. Add the 5 bonus question clubs. It's a game changer. Clubs are a game changer. Love it. Have 6 clubs. They're awesome. Perfect. I love the, can I ask you an extra question for bonus entry? Good. I'm glad you guys are all playing off that, and you're all seeing that 4 questions doesn't have to be where you stop, right? You can make that number higher. You can add bonus questions. There's all kinds of options there. You've been chatting with this girl. She's not going to be annoyed, right? If she's made it to that 4th or 5th question, congratulate her. She's in your entry, right? But she obviously wanted to win, so she made it that far. She's gonna want to win more. If you tell her she's gonna get double entries or triple entries, she's gonna keep chatting with you, even if it's just no and no and no, right? Like, it's fine, but most of the time it's not. Okay, clubs, fundraisers, yes, love it. Game changers in your business, both. Yes to Deb. What was Deb's? Let me see. Deb's was. Well, I don't know what Deb's was.
Clubs and
Clubs and
fundraisers.
fundraisers. Yeah. Yes. Good. I'm so glad that you guys have some takeaways. Please do the please ask me for the trainings if you need them. Yes, Cindy.
I have one question. So with the messages, I have to admit, I have told my team to do this, but I've never ever done it before. So when you do the questions, do you post in the party group and say, I'm going to message you a question, or what? Do you just
Full transparency. I just started it this week. I had not had time for it. I had not had time for it, Cindy. When Andrea Carver gave it to us back in March or April, I remember I was in Mexico because I was training on that call also. I was like, genius. But you guys, I don't say this to brag. I was in a place at that time where I had 20 parties already every month, like every single month after that, to me, asking more was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with these people. And I know that's a great problem to have, but I was really in that place. My team will tell you the first thing that like everybody has a weak spot, right? My weak spot is follow-ups. So that is my goal. Yep. My goal this fiscal year is follow-up. So I started there, Cindy. That was my first project broadcast that I actually sent. I sent all of my orders from the past, whatever many days it was. It was 90, I think, or whatever, right? And I was thanking them all for their orders. So for right now, I sent a project broadcast. So those of you that aren't aware of project broadcast, that's a texting, like an extra thing you can like pay basically, and it shoots out text for you. It goes to them one at a time. It comes from you individually, but you only have to just type it all in and it does the work, right? So I don't have to individually text. So if anybody wants me to share that, Cindy, I can give that to you and you can share it with your team. Would probably be the easiest, kind of how those steps worked. But I know a lot of my team has been doing it, and yes, they do it. They post in the party. I'm going to be texting all of you. I want to say, Shannon, are you still on here, or Tammy? Because I know some of you have been doing it. What day have you guys been having success? Because I want to say some of you have perfected like what day you like to do it. And I want to say it's like day 2 or 3 of the party is when they start doing it even. Do I have anybody that can answer that? Deb?
We actually, in Accelerate, they taught us to ask them to message us.
Yeah.
Because we are going to do the drawing for anyone who answers the 5 questions. And I've not done it that way, but they also told us in our intro to tell everyone at that point. And then every time we went live, we told them, remember, I'm going to be sending you questions and be sure that you answer it. So anytime we go live, when Keith did his stuff at Impact, game changer for me, because he goes live every single day of his party. Again, he's doing mega parties because I kind of freaked out. It's like, how do you hold 8 parties and go live every single day? And he does like you do, Danielle, with the 2 mega parties, which I am still fighting. I need to jump off
Stop
that.
Fighting it.
I know. I need to do it. But just the upfront with them to let them know whether it's the first day and it's been in mine. It's been my intro to each of my parties. So you started there, let them know as you're going on. And then they've already been, basically what they told us in Accelerate was you're warning them. They've been warned, they've been told, they're expecting it. They don't all answer. So, but I've had really, really good success. I had one, I do a lot of bingo bashes, and I had one that I had full, I mean, when I got to the party and being an insider, it was crickets, absolute crickets. When I did my 4 questions, I booked 5 parties. So
yeah, no, I've got team members on here that'll tell you the same thing. They've been doing the 4 questions since it was presented back in April, May, and that's literally, like I said, how they're getting all their bookings and they're doing all their things, and they don't feel like they're doing all the giveaways. And I'll be honest, I'm doing giveaways, right? Like and I think there's a time and place for some of that too. Like I like to reward the hostess if she books 3 parties and all of that. But I mean, it's just such a game changer and really adding to it when you do that. But yeah, no, you're right. Julie is really big on being upfront, like you said, right at the beginning, and just saying, and I did that at my home parties. I always would say, now, when I sit down with you and check out, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to talk to you about joining me and partying. So just be warned, like, that's my job, right? That's what I'm here to do. And I'd make a little joke about it and whatever. So it's the same thing. Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, I think the forewarning, and then I think a lot of people, from what I think, have been starting on like day or 2 or 3, because then it makes it flow into that getting the order, as opposed to, I think it might have been presented at one time that like you're doing it after the party, and then some of it kind of doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
And they're, oh yeah, and that's Deb shaking her head, and they're like over it, right? They've moved on, they've ordered, their life has just moved on, right? So it makes sense that that's what you would do. So thanks for sharing that, Deb, because like I said, I'm just as guilty, Sydney. I've not been doing it, and I'm embracing it. I have to. I mean, the proof is in the pudding right now, because I just told you guys, I just booked a bazillion parties and I'm having great conversations. And I think I've got like 7 new club members to add to that. And 2 people have placed Halloween orders, and that's all been part of those 5 questions. So for sure.
Cool.
Anybody else? But I think you could add, segueing back, I'll leave you with this, because I told you my weak spot is follow-up. I think that's another great place that you could add it to. And I think it's a segue to get them into your customer group too, if they're not already. Like, even if you're just doing it in, whether you're doing those 4 questions right there with them, or you're getting them into your customer group and then you're taking it to Messenger on Facebook, like I think there's a couple different options there. But I think that's another segue with, conversation to be had with your follow-ups, and something to think about. Especially if they weren't in a party. Like if you already did it in the party, that's one thing, but when you're getting orders off of your customer page and that sort of thing, and when you're having fun on your customer page, you'll start getting more orders there too. So
I think it forces follow-up.
It forces
Yeah.
follow-up, for
Forces you
sure.
into follow-up.
Absolutely.
Because they're talking to you. They expect you to talk to them. So, because I'm right with you at follow-up. I know the fortune is in the follow-up, and I can't tell you how much I've left on the table, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. For sure. It's my number 1 goal this year. I'm like so good at everything else except for that. And like, I'll say this with you guys, because I've said it on a couple of trainings I've done, like, it's made me really transactional. And I hate that. That's the other thing. Like, I've built relationships still, don't get me wrong, with my hostesses and some of the customers that I connect with, and I help them with their order. But at the end of the day, when I'm not doing follow-up, I have to be transparent. I'm like one and done with you, and that's gross. I don't want to be that person. And that's literally what I'm doing. I have to admit it. I am. And I don't want to be that. That was not me as a home party girl, right? Like, that was home party girl. I met you. I knew a little bit about your kids, and we exchanged dog photos and all that, right? And I don't want to be that. So that's why it's got to be on the front burner for me, and it's got to be an importance. And there's so much more with like quality over quantity too. And so that's really where it's at. And the more relationships you build, the more they are going to do more things for you in the future too. It just makes it that much easier. She might be your next leader. She might be your next team member. She might be your next club member. She might be your next fundraiser, if you don't build those relationships.
So what I did today, I started the party with the girl who asked me to do the catalog party. So I told her we could do both catalogs. So do the rest of August and then into September. And she's going to do the hostess thing for September. But I had an order placed already in the party for today. And so when I get an order, I post in the group and, say, thank you for your order, whatever. And then I usually send her a friend request, and then I message her and say, thank you for the order again, and then send her my link to my VIP group. So I'm getting her into my VIP group right away. Yeah. And thanking and starting a conversation.
And getting the friend requests. And she starts to see you, which is so important too. Yep. Absolutely, you guys. I know there's lots of you when you join, you want to be private and you want to be this and you want to be that. And it, it's tough. It's honestly really tough to be in sales and not have people just know you, and to know you, let them just be your friend and know the real you. Mm-hmm. And then furthermore, right, like then it matters what you're doing on Facebook. It can't be political. It can't be, rah-rah all the time. It can't be, oh my God, I don't want to follow her because she's just such a yucky person, or she's a downer or whatever, right? Like you've got to match who you are. I mean, I don't want to take away, your politics or anything like that. They're still important to you, but there's just a time and a place for a lot of that stuff too. And yeah, it's really key. I mean, that's back to what I was saying, like you want them buying from you. They're going to buy 31. If they love 31, they're going to buy it. And you want it to be from you, and you want it to forever be from you. You want to know that when they buy their Christmas and their wedding and their birthday gifts and all the things, they think of you, and they think of you because they like you, because they've been following you because you're fun or you're nice or you're sweet or you're funny or whatever, right? Not because you're just always like this Debbie Downer. And then, yes, someone posted from their iPhone. I don't know who that is. If that might be Shannon. It's easier to keep a customer than to get a new one. Absolutely. Absolutely. Good talk. Good discussions.
Yeah.
Love it.
Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Teaching is my passion. That's part of my why. So I love it. Thanks you guys so much. And if you have any questions, let Cindy or I know. And we'll get you in all the training groups and all the places if you're not there too. So, and see you mega party and Deb. I'm calling you out.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Bye guys.
Okay,
All
bye.
right. Thank you.